Hello and welcome to another roddymacaudio tutorial. This is the first in a series of films called How the Hell Do I, in which I'll be dealing with all aspects of audio production. And the first few episodes are going to be dealing specifically with drums and what I do with the drum kit to take it from a raw recording to a finished, produced professional product. And the first thing I do before I do anything else with a kit is I align it in the time domain and also with regards to phase. Why? Well, I find it helps with editing later on, a great deal, because all your transients are lined up across the tracks, and it also gives you a coherent, punchy sound with none of that sort of thin, phasey weediness, which is pretty horrible. It's easy to do. It really does make a big difference to the kit, and it's the kind of thing. It's quick, so you can do it, in a recording session, if even if time's against you. So, right, let's get started. Okay, the first thing we need to do is establish a reference point. I use the snare track mainly because it's the loudest and it bleeds into all the other tracks really well. So, excuse me. So you'll have a source point, which is usually the snare top mic, and you'll be able to see the transient from that snare hit across all the other tracks as well. This session here is from a band called Betatone Distraction. Great band. I'll put a link below so you can check them out. They recorded 3 tracks in studio and they sent me across the files. So I've got snare kick, a couple of toms, hi-hats, left and right overheads, and a room mic. So we're going to establish our reference point where we're going to take our measurements from so we can line it in the time domain. So we need to find a nice clean snare hit where nothing else is going on. Usually if I'm doing it myself, recording the drums, I'll sample the drums first. So I'll have all these references, individual hits on their own, so it's nice and clean. I can take the measurements from that. But if you've not recorded the session, you need to go through and try and find a section where there's a nice clean snare hit. I found that there's a wee fill that I can use here. See, that's pretty good. There's not much else happening. It's not the hardest hit. You could do. Ideally, you want a nice, hard, clean hit, but for now, this will do fine. So, expand that track right out, and then let's zoom right into the start of the hit here. And we're just going to cut that there. That becomes our 0 point for all of our measurements. We're going to use our left and right markers. I'm going to set my ruler to samples. And on Reaper you get a numeric value, I read out in the bottom right hand corner, which is really handy. You can type stuff in and obviously just read it off. Let's just zoom that down, oops. Okay, there we go. You want to make sure that your left hand marker is right on that cat you've just made. Yep, it is. And I'm just, for quickness, I'm going to type in 200 there. And I'm going to zoom in to that. Okay, so there's our snare hit, and that becomes our reference point. Now what we're going to do is we're going to measure all of the, for example, top mics, or the mics that are closest to the source of the sound on each of those drums, like the beater or the stick. The reason why is you want to align multi-mic drums to themselves first and then align them to the snare. Otherwise, for example, if I've got a tom in front of me and a snare here, and I align the top and the bottom mics to the tom mic independently, so top is aligned with the top mic and bottom is aligned with the snare top mic, then the tom top and the tom bottom will no longer be in line with each other, they'll be in line with the snare, and that's not what you want. So first thing you do is you go through and you measure all of your top mics, snare top, kick wherever the mic is closest to the beater. On this particular session I've got 3 mics on the kick. Sometimes you have more, sometimes you have less. So kick, snare, kick, beater, tom tops, I've got tom, top and bottom here, and your overhead mics and your room mics as well. So go through and measure all those first. And I'll do one just to show you. Let's do the kick internal mic here. Zoom that right in. There we go. Okay, so let's make sure the snap is off. Now I'm going to zoom this right out so I can see it properly. Okay, 104 samples, I'll say. Right, so there you go. So you can see the snare top mic there. Yeah, and that's establishing our reference. And the bleed from that snare mic, the bleed from the snare into the kick internal mic here. You can see where the transient is just there. I make that 104 samples of difference. So go through and measure all of your top mics, get a piece of paper, write down all your results, and start to make a list which you'll be able to reference later on. It's a pretty handy way to do it actually if you write it all down, because if you're doing a project which is over multiple sessions, like same drum kit but the songs are all divided up, it's an easy way just to kind of to quickly go between sessions and align all of your projects, all the drum tracks in the project. So I'm going to go in and measure all of those files now. Okay, once you've measured all your top mics from your snare as your reference, you're going to have to measure any multi-mic drums from themselves. So in this example, I'm going to do the kick drum because I've got 3 mics on the kick here. I've got an internal mic, I've got a first external mic, which I think was on the front of the drum, was on the skin, and I've got a second external mic. So let's find a clean hit again for the kick. Okay, that's not ideal. You can really do with a hard hit if possible, but for this project, this will have to do. So in fact, let's just see if the one that starts better. Not really. Okay, anyway, let's go in. Same thing again. Expand the track out. Zoom in. Find the start of your hit. Split it. Zoom back out. Set your left and right markers. Make sure your left marker is right on where you've split it. Yes. Just going to type that in again. 200. I'm going to zoom into that. Okay. And we're going to measure the first external kick mic, or the second mic on the kick, sorry. We can measure the second mic on the kick from the first mic. So if we go to there and measure there. Okay, I make that 52 samples. So what you need to do, you need to add the second and third, if you've got it, mic values to the first mic value measured from the snare. So go through and make a separate additional list of the individual, the second and third mics on the individual drums. So you would have, say, kick internal would be 0, then kick mic 2 would be, in this case, 57 samples, and kick mic 3, in this case, I've already been through and measured this already, would be, where are we, 93. So go ahead and go through and measure all your individual drums as well. Okay, once you've done all that, you need to glue your tracks back together. If you've been splitting them for references and stuff, make sure they're all as single files again. And you need to zoom into the start of your project. Let's just jump to that. I'm going to put in 200 again. Jump to that again. I'm just going to drag this snare bottom mic up just so that it's concurrent with the list I have in front of me here. You should have a list now of values. According to my list, I've got, for example, snare top is my reference point, so that's 0. The snare bottom in this case is so close to the snare top mic as to be almost instantaneous, so it's not worth moving that. But I've got snare top 0. The first kick mic is 102 samples from the snare. The first tom top is 43 samples. The tom 2 top is 66 samples. The hi-hats are 54. The left overhead is 119. The room overhead is 103, and the room mic is 224. So that's all your top mics. And on the multi-mic drums, like for example the 2 toms and the kick, I've got tom 1 top is 0, tom 1 bottom is 34 samples from tom 1 top, tom 2 top is 0, tom 2 bottom is 54 samples from tom 2 top. So what we need to do is we need to go through and delete the values that you measured from the beginning of each file. So snare top is 0, snare bottom in this case is 0 as well. But if I go to kick 1, the first kick mic, it's 102 samples from the snare mic. So if I type in 102 and Control Delete on Reaper, there you go, deleted. Now what I need to do, the kick drum mic, which is close to the source of the sound, which is the internal mic, is measured from the snare, and then all the other values for the kick are measured from the first kick mic. So I need to do 1 or 2 samples from the snare, and then I need to add my 57 samples from the kick drum for the first kick mic, and the 93 samples for the second kick mic. So it's 102 plus 57, which is 159. So let's type 159, and select the track, Control Delete, and for the second mic, it's 102 samples plus 93 samples, 195, and Control Delete. Okay, so if you go through all your files and repeat this, delete all the values that you measured from the beginning of each file. Okay, once you've been through and you've deleted all the values that you measured from the beginning of each file, all you do is you select your snap function and you just drag the files right to the beginning, to the 0 point. Just like this, there we go. Okay, and if you've done your maths correctly and you've done your editing, your chopping correctly as well, the transients should all line up really nicely. Let's just take a quick look. Let's just find that snare transient again, the snare hit. We'll zoom right into it, and you'll see across all the files that, oh, take the snap off. There you go. All the transients line up really nicely across all the files. The one file that I haven't moved is the room mic, and just a word about room mics. Sometimes you find that if you drag it, if you drag the room mics 100% into time alignment, it can make the kit sound a bit smaller than you might like. So although I measure it, sometimes I just leave it, or I to taste, I'll drag it back and forth. But I always know the value, so I can play with that. I can make it longer, shorter. I can always go back to 0. It's repeatable. So it's it's always a tip. And also for interest, if you've not recorded the session yourself and you don't know where the mics are, sometimes it can be useful to actually calculate the distances of the mics. And if you want to do that, the maths are pretty easy. It's just, all you do is you take 1 second, 1,000 milliseconds, divided by your sample rate, which in this case is 48,000, 48k. So it's 1,000 divided by 48,000 times by the samples that you measured at the start of your hit. Sorry, the start of your file. So let's just go to the starter there. Oh, there we go. So you'll see there, that's 224 down there. So it's 1,000 divided by 48,000 times by 224, which equals 4.6 milliseconds. And then speed of sound, 340 meters per second times 1,000 milliseconds, multiplied by 4.6 equals 1.564 meters. And sure enough, when I spoke to the engineer who recorded this session, he said the room mic was about 6 or 7 feet out in front of the kit. So that would tally with being 1.56 meters, 6 or 7 feet. It can be handy if you need to work stuff out, if you want to align stuff, or you just get an idea of how it was recorded if you didn't record it yourself. But if you like that kind of thing, it's also it's quite fun to do. I like that kind of thing. So that is how I align the kit in the time domain. Once I've done that, then you can go through and you can individually flip the phase on your channels. Like let's do a wee, let's flip the snare, for example, with the overhead. You can flip your phase on all your channels to kind of get the drums to be even more coherent and sort of big sounding. But I find that it really does make a huge difference to the kit. Okay, in the next episode I will be showing you what I do to gate and strip silence and generate MIDI files for triggering samples. Feel free to leave comments, any requests you've got, and thanks for watching How the Hell Do I with me, Roddy Mac Audio, and I'll see you next time.